Hello, and welcome to the Thrive with live show again. It's Katie here, and really excited to welcome my replay audience. Yay! Oh, I should have my sound effects on, shouldn't I? Or my live audience. So, thank you so much for being with us today. I am very excited and nervous today. I've got all those nerves, because I'm excited because a lovely lady, Katrina, is going to join us, and we're going to be talking about websites. She's a website expert and has been for quite a number of years now. I think it's 10 years. Katrina will let us know. And I'm going to bring her on. She is a WordPress expert and has been helping online entrepreneurs bring their vision to life with stunning websites for the last 10 years. I was right. In this episode, we dive into how a website can help a content creator or podcaster grow in your online business, generate more sales, and improve your credibility and authority in the online space. And you can find the audio version of this podcast on your favorite podcasting app a few days after this live episode airs. Actually, I'm hoping to put it up there today. So do say hi if you are on the replay or on the live. We would be so happy to see you. So let me bring in the wonderful Katrina, and I need to get some claps going. I just clap myself because I need to bring the sound effects up. Hello, Katrina. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. I don't know whether you heard, but I'm actually really nervous in an excited way today. It's so wonderful having a guest on, and Katrina, I've followed her for a few years. She's just gives the most amazing tips about websites. I'm somebody who is quite overwhelmed by WordPress and stuff like that. I find it quite sort of mind-boggling. And Katrina makes things very simple, so you're going to really enjoy this live or the replay or the podcast. Let us know if you have a website. We'd love to know. So Katrina, tell us where you are, where you live, bit about yourself, and maybe how did you get into being a website expert?
Yeah, so I am based in Barry in South Wales, and I actually didn't start off to be a website designer. Well, originally I'm from England, in Chippenham, just outside of Bath in Wiltshire, and I moved to Cardiff for university, and I studied English language. And then my dream was actually to be a journalist. That was the plan, like all the way through uni. And I was looking, it sort of came to my end of year, and I was looking at ways of how to get into journalism. And one of the ways was from PR. So I done some work experience in PR and in marketing, and I absolutely fell in love with marketing. Absolutely loved working on campaigns and coming up with ideas and everything like that. And I done some experience in a marketing agency, and just I was like, I've got to do this. And so my jobs after I left university was in marketing, and I worked for an IT company, in the marketing department. And then after that, I worked in the marketing department for a medical diagnostics company. um, but whilst I was working, I just had like this itch. It was a bit of a like creative itch, and as much as like IT, as more, not so much the IT, but the medical diagnostics company was a lovely place to work, but it just wasn't very creative. There was lots of sort of like red tape to kind of have to go through, and I don't know, like I'm quite like a creative person, and I just couldn't really express the creativity in that industry. So I decided to kind of do some freelance work. So whilst I was working full time, I done some freelance work for small businesses, and I wanted to offer my marketing services to small businesses to help them. But the thing that they wanted was websites. They was like, I'm really stuck with websites. I haven't got a website designer. I don't know how to design websites. So I just taught myself how to design websites on WordPress. My husband, then boyfriend, had started his own business, and I created a website for him. And so I thought, wow, I will do this for other people. So I started local businesses and started off with small projects for people that I already knew, and grew from there. And I basically taught myself how to design WordPress websites, and 10 years later here I am, still doing it, and helping loads and loads of businesses online, and still some local businesses as well, with their websites. And it's, just kind of developed and bring in like my marketing skills that I'd already had, and learning along the way. And yeah, that's where we are now.
So you're a self-taught WordPress expert, which makes you go up in my estimation even more. So I've heard that WordPress are really good for certain things, and I think I've heard that they're very uh, what's the word? They can do a lot. You can. Oh,
They're very
sorry.
flexible. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good for blogging and stuff, aren't they? So why WordPress? Why not something else? I don't know the other types of websites, but
Yeah, so there is like this big debate online of like what's the best website platform, and it's kind of like every website designer who specializes in a particular platform will always say, oh, this website platform is the best, whether it's WordPress, whether it's Squarespace, whether it's Wix or Shopify, anything like that. Every website designer will say, oh, this is the best and this is the best. And there's lots of people that will say WordPress is the best for SEO, and it's not necessarily true. Any website can be good for SEO. It's not the platform that's making it good for SEO. It's the content and how it's designed, and actually like the input. It's not the platform itself. So that might be not necessarily controversial, but there might be a few people that go, that's not true. But actually, that's why you have Wix websites, some Wix websites performing better than WordPress, and it's because the WordPress website hasn't been designed very well, or they haven't put any effort into SEO, whereas the Wix website has. The benefits of WordPress, and why I like WordPress, is the flexibility. Now, where people say that WordPress is better for SEO, and that's because WordPress has a lot more flexibility when it comes to implementing strategies, or to be able to, just generally implement things. So yes, in some ways it's better because it has those capabilities to be able to do the things that you want it to, and there isn't anything really WordPress can't do, whereas places like Wix and Squarespace, you are limited to what the platform is providing. But unless you use those facilities and the capabilities of WordPress, it doesn't make it any better than a website that, on a different platform. So I like WordPress because it allows a business to grow. I've seen lots of people sign up to like a Wix website, Squarespace website, and it's great to begin with. But then the business grows, and then I want to do this with my website, and I can't get it to work, or I've got to pay more, and it's costing me so much money to kind of have a course added to it, or a membership added to it, and I'm paying X amount of money just to have this. And with WordPress, there's not really anything you can't do. So that's why I like WordPress, because it's there from the beginning, and it grows with you. You don't have to kind of chop and change halfway through your business because you've outgrown your website. I mean, that's a positive thing. Obviously, your business is going in the right direction, but you don't want to add more work to the load when you're already got a million and one things that you have to do. You don't want to have to worry about having to switch platforms and redesigning your whole site on a whole new platform that you've now got to learn or pay someone to do. So I feel like if you start off on it, then you don't have that hassle later on down the line.
Oh, cool. See, guys, this is why she's really, really helpful. Um, So that's so good to know about WordPress not being actually, you have to be on that platform because otherwise you'll never get seen. Because that's actually what I thought. Um, and that it can scale with you as much as you want. That's really good to know, because redesigning a whole site, I've got zilch experience in actually knowing really what I'm doing, but I have had to redesign my attempts a number of times on different places. Um, so yeah, that's really good to know. So, Katrina, what special sauce do you bring to what you're doing? What is it that you particularly love and particularly sort of excel at in what you do? Do you think?
I think for me, I just like to simplify things down. Like I don't like complicated. It's not. I haven't got time for complicated. I haven't got time for, you know, making things more work than it needs to be. And so I try to simplify things down. I try to explain things in a simple way for people to understand, because I think there's a whole section of website designers out there who like to overcomplicate website design. And I'm not, denying that it is a big job. Like, it is a big task to design a website. It's definitely not a 5-minute job, and it's definitely not a once and done type of thing. It is, it's a long-term relationship you have when you have a website. But it's not, it's not a dark art. It's not something that only certain people can do. And I think you can understand the basics without needing to know every single thing about a website. You don't need to know, as a business owner, you don't need to know everything about your website and every nook and cranny, but you do need to know the basics of how your website's working. And that's what I try to encourage, without overwhelm, is kind of to show people, okay, this is your website, this is like the basics of what you need to know, this is how you can update it, this is like the strategies that you can implement. Yes, it's a bit of time that you need to put in, but you don't need to think that you can't do it because it's too technical, because it's not. And I try to kind of break that down for people to show them, actually, if you do it like this, you do it like this, actually there's a very simple way for you to upload your blogs. And actually, I feel like the hardest thing about website is the strategy. It's not actually the doing, because I can show you what buttons to click to upload a blog, or I can show you what buttons to click to, change the picture or add some more text to your pages. That's not the hardest point. The hardest point is understanding what works on a website, and the strategies and the psychology behind the websites, and how they work and how they get people to visit your website and then convert them. That's the hardest part, but that's the part that I really enjoy as well, of kind of walking people through and showing them the potential, and then helping them and guiding them to show them, okay, for you, this is how you can make your website work, and these are some of the things that you need to do, to do it. And like I said, it is a big job, and it is time consuming, but the benefits, are huge.
Mm, mm. Yeah, so you give two really good things together with your business. You coach people, as I was saying earlier, with clear, um, simple explanations, and give them a run through of how they can do things, which I think is really helpful for something like that. So I'd like to know, so for our listeners, most of them are creators, so they create their videos on social media, and a number of them have had a podcast or are thinking about having a podcast. So I'd like to know how a website can help them, and I'm also thinking about what you were touching on about SEO earlier. You know, any tips about that? So maybe we should do that as a second question. But do you think, I think I know what your answer will be, but do you think a website can help a creator and a podcaster, and how?
Yes, definitely. So I think the biggest thing to remember, and it's one of the things that I think anyone who's like an expert in a certain marketing strategy, whether it's website design, social media, email marketing, whatever it is, that alone is never going to be the thing that's going to like skyrocket your business. It's something that all these things work together, and like a website is what I always think of it as kind of like the glue that holds everything else together. It's the glue that holds like your social media, your email marketing, your podcasting, your, you know, everything else that you're doing, like your marketing strategies. It's the glue that holds all of that together and pulls it all in. Because how many people visit websites? You know, yes, social media is great and email marketing is great, but you will always have to, people always kind of like to look on websites to find out more information about a certain topic, or a certain, you know, some information about a person or a service that they've seen on social media. And it's kind of like, it's really like done saying, but it's like the hub of your business, but it really really is. And how it can really help to add that credibility to your business. Because if you're thinking about your competitors, and if you've got a website that's well designed, clearly laid out, um, got some valuable piece of information on there, people are more likely to buy from you. They're more likely to trust you. They're more likely to want to kind of get to know who you are and to be in your world than they are for somebody who doesn't have a website. You know, it's we're
Mm,
at that stage in time where it seems weird to not have a website anymore.
mm,
Everybody, you know, it's, you go to Google to find out information. You know, you've got the phrase of I'll Google it. You know, every piece of information is available on Google, and if that information about you or your services is not available on Google, people will then start to question possibly your credibility, your authority, and they're more likely to go and find the information elsewhere, which could come from one of your competitors, and you've potentially lost a client or multiple clients because that information hasn't been made available to them. And I think a website is just, you know, it is a service that you're offering. By having a website, you're making that information accessible to people. Like, not everybody's on Instagram, not everybody's on Facebook, not everybody's on
mm,
LinkedIn, not everybody likes to receive email marketing. And so having that website there for those who maybe aren't on those platforms, or don't like to get their information in those ways, it just gives an opportunity to
mm,
present that information for those who like to get their content from websites. And there are a lot of people who,
mm,
you know, who will go on websites. You know, you hear about a business and you often, you know, yes, you go to social media, but you also go to Google and search for them on there. What information can I find out about them? Reviews about them, what are other people saying about them? And if you've got a, you know, a well designed website that represents your brand and what it is that you stand for, that will really help
mm,
to encourage people to work with you and to find out more about you.
mm. Oh, I love this conversation. Because websites, you know, you can think, oh, it's quite a boring subject, but Katrina makes it really relevant and important for you and not boring. So, Katrina, we've got some questions here. So, Emily and Jim have got some great questions, which is lovely. So, thank you so much, guys. So Emily says, how often does Katrina recommend to update your WordPress website?
So in terms, there's a couple of ways you could update it. Is whether you mean from a technical point of view. So with WordPress, obviously you have your plugins to update, your themes to update. So there's like security updates. So for those, unfortunately, I can't give like a time frame on those because that's all very much dependent on when these themes and plugins decide to release their updates. I always recommend logging into your WordPress website every like once a week, twice a week, or once every 2 weeks, just to kind of like have a quick check over, make sure that everything is okay, and if there's any updates to do them that way. In terms of content, with blogging, it's not necessarily about how often you should do it. It's more about the consistency. So it's similar to social media. If you're talking about blogs, if you're consistent with doing a blog once a week or once every 2 weeks or even once a month, then do that, because it's better to be consistent in that respect than it is to kind of be very sporadic, and not, obviously, it's not helpful to your visitors if you're not if you're all over the place with your content and they don't know when it's coming. Equally though, the more you update your website, the better chances you have with SEO. And I will put that in a caveat that it's not about how often you do something, it's more about the quality, because you could be uploading a blog every week, you could be uploading a blog every couple of days, but if the quality of that content is not there, it's not going to do anything for your website. So it's similar to like this whole like which platform is best. It's not necessarily about how often you're doing something. It's about the quality and whether or not you're doing things like keyword research. Are you putting in the keywords into your blog? Are you writing about things that are important to your visitors? Are they giving you the information? Google's algorithm talks about helpful content, so making sure that the content that you're posting is actually helpful to readers, and it's not just regurgitating the stuff that's already out there, because that's not helpful, because you don't want to keep going from one website to another just hearing the same thing. They want to hear helpful original content from you, your opinions, your thoughts. That's different to anybody else. So that's the kind of content that really helps. So it's not necessarily about how often you should be doing it. That answer is more, however, how often you can be consistent, but it's more about the quality rather than the quantity.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Hope that helps Emily. Emily's got a really nice website. I don't know what platform she uses, but and Jim says, oh, it's titchy writing here. Katrina, do you recommend any particular WordPress theme, especially if you want to embed video or live streams stroke podcast? Great question, Jim. Thank you for that.
So theme wise, it very much depends on your technical abilities. So there are themes out there. I like to use Divi or Elementor, just because it's very easy for people to manage. It uses like a drag and drop feature, and it just makes that management of updating content that much easier, and kind of getting designs and layouts that much easier for people. The downsides is obviously there are lots of people will say, oh, they're what we call like they're very they bloat websites. So there's lots of stuff going on, which can mean that the website becomes slower than what it needs to be, but you can counteract that with good website hosting. So in terms of like embedding videos and podcasts, I would say it's not necessarily the theme that you need to look at. It's more your website hosting and how you implement those videos and podcasts. So for WordPress websites, well, for any website that uses video, I always recommend that the videos are hosted elsewhere. So you don't actually upload the videos to your website, because they are huge files, and they will definitely slow down your site. So I always recommend like putting them on something like YouTube or Vimeo or something like that, and then using like an embed tool, which is very easy to do. So like on Divi, there's literally, you just take the URL from Vimeo or YouTube and paste that into it, and then it pulls it from there. So it's kind of, the video is playing on Vimeo or YouTube, but it's appearing on your website. So it just means that you embed it onto there. So it's not necessarily the theme that's going to be able to do that. It's kind of like the tactic of how to get that video on there. Theme wise, like I said, it's dependent on what you like. Everybody's preference is slightly different. There are, majority of the people that I have taught people, I've taught people how to design their own websites, and I've taught them on Divi. And I'd say like 99% of people got on with it really well. There's always going to be someone who doesn't quite get on with it, and that's absolutely fine, because everybody's slightly different and how they think and how they, like to use things. Elementor is another great, Elementor is more of like a builder rather than a theme, whereas Divi kind of is a theme and builder all in one. So it's definitely kind of like worth looking around at kind of like the different themes that's available, but those two are kind of like some of like the major ones that gets used. But like I said, for the actual videos and embedding them, it's not necessarily a theme, it's more the strategy
Yeah.
of implementing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you get a fast host? Is that that's probably completely the wrong term, but how do you make sure that your hosting is a fast speed so that
Yeah. So hosting is kind of like a big topic as well. So you you see lots of people asking like, what's the best host? And it's just one of those questions like, what's the best platform? Everybody's got their preferred hosts. People will recommend things like Bluehost or SiteGround or something like that. Um, for me, it's always like a difficult one because my husband has an IT company, so he does website hosting. So all of like my website hosting is done through him. So when they say, like, what's the best website hosting company, I'm like, wow, it's kind of like, that's a difficult one for me to answer without sounding really biased about things. But so it's more about looking at the resources that's available. So every website will have different requirements for resources. So a small website that only has like a few pages, a few images, and mainly text won't use as much resources as, say, like an online shop or a website that has lots of content, lots of pages, or lots of pictures, or lots of videos, and that kind of thing. So it's all about looking at the size of your website, what you need your website to do and how it needs to perform, and then looking and making sure that the host has enough resources to be able to manage that. So looking at the amount of storage it has, like this is like where it gets like quite technical and if you're not very technically minded, this can feel very overwhelming. But usually the things I say to look out for is look at the amount of storage that you're going to get, making sure that their servers are based in the country that you're based in or your audience are based in. So if you're UK based, you ideally want servers that are based in the UK, because it sounds very strange, but if your it's still like a traveling distance. So like if your servers are based in America and you're in the UK and your audience are coming onto your website from the UK, your website and everything has still got to travel to America to then get the response back from, and there is a slight delay, and so whereas having those servers based in the country, it does help to speed things up. It's not like the be all or the end all if it's in a slightly different country, but ideally that's what you want. You want SSL certificates. Please don't pay for SSL certificates. Like if a host says, oh, it's an extra like £100 or $100, please don't pay for it because most good hosts will offer it as standard, because it doesn't cost the host anything really to offer that. and it's a norm now, so they shouldn't really be charging for that. So you want an SSL, and then obviously good customer service as well. So if they're based in the UK and you're based in the UK, the likelihood is that you're going to get support within the working hours that you're working as well. It can become a little bit difficult if their service is, customer support is based in America and you've kind of got to wait for them to wake up, or if they're not offering 24/7 support as well. So there's a few things to look at. So the resources is what's going to give you like a fast speed. But there's lots of things that you can do on your website as well. So things like making sure that your images aren't too big and you're not uploading videos, and in the back end of things as well, that you haven't got too many plugins and things like that. So there's lots of things that contribute to site speed. But so looking for a decent host is very key when you have a WordPress website.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I've found the sound effects. So thank you. And mind blown. Woo! Yeah, thank you, Katrina. It's amazing. Emily likes Divi a lot, 100%. And she's really appreciating the full perspective, and she uses WordPress, Show It, and UltraCart in the process of streamlining and consolidating. Wow. Well done. That sounds complicated, but impressive. Great. So Katrina needs to go and get her little ones from school at some point. So we are going to now go into the lightning round, where Katrina's just going to answer some fun questions for a couple of minutes. And then she's going to tell us where we can find her. And I'm not going to let her go until she tells us that, because I tend to forget. So let's get into the lightning round. Katrina, ready? Now let me turn the sound down so everybody hopefully can hear us. With just the sound in the background there. Oops. There we go. Okay, Katrina, so let's go for it. So, what do you prefer, texting or talking?
Texting.
What's your favourite day of the week?
Saturday.
Why is that?
I don't know. I was born on a Saturday. Maybe that's the reason why.
Nice. Yeah, I like Saturday too. Do you have a nickname that your parents used to call you?
My dad used to call me Ninja. I'm not really too sure why.
Cool. Interesting. What was the last song you downloaded or listened to? Do you know?
Oh my god.
These are mega hard questions.
Yeah, I think it was probably on the radio this morning. I think it was the song Prada on the radio.
Okay. Would you like to be able to speak every language in the world, or be able to talk to animals?
Oh, talk to animals.
Same. What would be your favourite holiday destination?
Probably. Oh, this is a difficult one because I'm half Mauritian, so I'm like, part of me is like Mauritius, but then I also really want to go to Dubai and also the Maldives. So anywhere hot, really.
Wow. What is your super strength?
I'd probably say determination, because despite having lots of things thrown at me over the past few years, I don't like to give up very easily. So I think that's probably my strength there.
Yes, go for it. What sound can we have for a super strength? Can even hear that. Oh, that's an air horn for Katrina's super strength, and she's brought us some fire today. So, Katrina, where can people find you? Where can we find? Oh, hang on, sorry. Where can we find what wonderful things that you do online?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, which which is my handle is at Cariad Creative. You
So
can
Cariad, isn't it?
yeah, creative.
Cariad Creative, yeah.
Yeah. Or you can just come find me on Facebook. I update my personal Facebook rather than my page a lot more. Or you can obviously go onto my website, which is www.carriedcreative.com. Yeah, so I've got a few things coming up. So yeah, keep an eye on my socials and websites because they'll all be updated with all of the new stuff that's coming out for lots of different things for various stages of business to help you with your website. So yeah, that'll be coming out
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah, so do follow Katrina because she does give a lot of like sound bites and videos and things that you know, just a really, really helpful tip and things that you never realized before, and just steps how to do stuff. So it's really, really helpful. So that's, I'll put it in the show notes. So Caraid, Cariad Creative. So thank you so much, Katrina. I've really enjoyed having you on. It's been a lot of fun talking about websites. You're such a lovely person, and you give so much, and it's so interesting. You know, the way that you present it and show us how it can help us in our businesses. So thank you so much, and we'll just do a little dance off as we go. So stay with me, Katrina.